I inherited my grandmother's house and discovered why she was terrified of the basement. Part 1. I had always loved the small, picturesque town of Miller's Crossing, a place where everyone knew each other and crime was practically non-existent. So when I inherited my grandmother's old Victorian house on the edge of town, I was thrilled. My grandma had passed away a few months back, leaving behind a lifetime of memories and a house filled with antique furniture and dusty knickknacks. I decided to move in temporarily, to sort through her belongings and maybe get a change of scenery. The first few days were uneventful. I spent most of my time cleaning, organizing, and occasionally chatting with the friendly neighbors who stopped by to offer condolences and share stories about my grandma. It wasn't until the fourth night that things started to get strange. It began with the knocking. I was in bed, just about to drift off to sleep, when I heard a soft, rhythmic knocking coming from downstairs. At first, I thought it was just the old house settling, but the knocks were too deliberate, too patterned to be random creaks. I got up, grabbed the flashlight I kept on the nightstand, and cautiously made my way downstairs. The knocking continued, echoing through the empty halls. It seemed to be coming from the basement. I hesitated at the top of the basement stairs, the flashlight beam trembling slightly in my hand. I took a deep breath and descended one creaky step at a time. When I reached the bottom, the knocking stopped. I swept the flashlight around the basement, illuminating dusty shelves and cobweb-covered furniture, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. I shrugged it off as my imagination playing tricks on me and went back to bed. The next morning, I found something odd. In the kitchen, on the small table where my grandma used to have her breakfast, lay an old leather-bound journal. I didn't remember seeing it before. Curiosity piqued. I opened it. The journal belonged to my grandmother. It detailed her life in Miller's Crossing, but toward the end, the entries became increasingly erratic and paranoid. She wrote about hearing strange noises at night, about feeling watched, and about something she referred to only as the Watcher. The last entry sent chills down my spine. The Watcher is coming for me. It knocks to warn me, to let me know it's near. I fear my time is running out. That night, the knocking started again. This time it was louder, more insistent. I followed the sound to the basement once more, my heart pounding in my chest. As I reached the bottom step, the flashlight flickered and died, plunging me into darkness. Panic set in, and I fumbled for my phone to use its light. When I finally managed to turn it on, I saw it. A figure stood in the far corner of the basement, barely visible in the dim light. It was tall and thin, its eyes glowing faintly. The knocking resumed, louder and faster, as the figure began to move towards me. I bolted up the stairs, slamming the basement door behind me. I could still hear the knocking, now accompanied by a low, guttural growl. I didn't sleep at all that night, my grandmother's words echoing in my mind. The Watcher is coming for me. The next day I packed up my belongings and left Miller's Crossing, vowing never to return. I don't know what the Watcher was or why it haunted my grandmother, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it was still out there somewhere waiting. To this day, I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of knocking, and I wonder if the Watcher has finally found me.